So let's break down fevers here for a second, because I think this is one of the biggest ones and most important to understand, okay? So let's go back to biology class for a second here, okay? For the most part, agreed upon, normal body temperature is what? 98.6. Good, all right. 98.6 is good. You guys paid attention somewhere at school, right? Now, I mean, some people run a little bit warmer than that, naturally, like maybe 98.8 or 98.4, but, you know, for the most part, the majority of people stick right around 98.6 degrees, okay? So, now let's talk about what happens into a fever. So we have 98.6, okay, right here, that's the baseline. If you have colder body temperature, that's a different problem, means you probably have a thyroid problem, okay? But for the most part, otherwise, people are gonna be going up versus down. Now, so your body starts having a fever, so temperature starts going up, right? An interesting thing is that according to what we know about microbiology, not we, I mean just microbiologists, what they know, I did pass that class in school, but man, it was miserable, okay? I'm like, why do I have to know this is a chiropractor? It makes zero sense. There are minimal species of bacteria that can physically exist in an environment above 102 degrees. Bacteria. So meaning that the vast, I mean, I can't think off the top of my head or any ones that above 102, okay, that bacteria can survive or at least proliferate, meaning grow and spread above 102 degrees, all right? Now for viruses, they're a little bit more hardy in that sense. So viruses are kind of around 103 to 104, with most of them being around 103. So let's break this down a little bit. And listen, I'm kind of rounding this a little bit. I mean, there's kind of more precise numbers, but you're kind of getting it. So let's talk about this here then. So if you have a low-grade fever, right? So you're somewhere in this range right here, and your body never goes beyond that 102 or up to that 103 marker. What is your body likely trying to fight off? Bacteria. Yes, right? Or of course, if you get up in the 103 range, well, then you know you're maybe in for a little bit more of a fight than your viruses. But as parents, you know, as just individuals ourselves, and part of it comes is like, I mean, what I knew about a fever before I really knew what a fever was to lower it, because I was just like, well, whenever I was sick as a youngster, right, it's like, well, I have a fever, so my parents would do something to lower it. Like, it's just like, it was kind of like ingrained in me because my parents were ingrained by their parents probably, and just like passes generationally down. But if we think about it for a second, let's go back to, is your body smart or dumb? Smart. Very smart. So if it recognizes, hey, there's an overgrowth of bacteria that should not be here, so I'm gonna raise up this temperature to kill those suckers, right? Yeah, and you know what? When you're turning a furnace on the inside of your body, right, it is going to shut down other processes that are not necessary, like maybe having crazy amounts of energy. So when you feel tired, lethargic, you want to sleep, it might shut down your digestive tract more. It's converting energy, all available resources, to go and blast those suckers. So let's say your body's like, get it smart, it's like, I want the temperature to be right here, because I know whatever this is, it could be strep, right, E. coli, whatever it is gonna die. But, oh, I don't like the way that I feel. That was what most people sound like when they're sick, by the way. I can verify that from my own experience, too. So what do? We go and take something. I had to lower my fever. Okay, you had to, sure. So you lower the fever down. And does a medication, especially a medication specifically designed to lower fever, does that do it like really gradually, or does it do it pretty quick? Antipyretics, fever medication. Does it go down really, 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 really slow, like over the course of a day when it goes into effect, or is it like within an hour, maybe 2 hours, right? If it works, it goes down quick. Whereas your body has probably been cranking up from 98.6 up to its temperature for at least a day, if not longer. It usually it just slowly kind of cooks it up, because it's less energy to cook it up slowly. So remember, your set point, think of like a thermostat, right? The set point is your body wants it right here. Now when you take that Motrin or you take that medication, whatever it is, does that last in your body for an extremely long amount of time or not very long? Yeah, it's like maybe a couple hours, 6 hours maybe at the most. So So let's say the medication now wears off, all right, but your body temperature is back down here. But obviously by lowering the fever, it's going to do nothing to have killed off or given your body enough resources to kill this off. So the body's internal hypothalamus, which is the temperature control regulation center of the brain, has a set point, right, of 102.5, let's just say. So the minute that medication starts wearing off, guess what's going to happen to that temperature? Boom, it's going to go up fast because it thought that it was already supposed to be up there. So it's going to, all the body systems are funneled towards making that temperature be the right temperature. So now we're talking about a fever spike, right? So when we talk about the quote-unquote dangers of fevers that we always get scared into, like, oh, if your fever is too high, your brain's going to melt or something, you know, whatever they say. It's all this hogwash. When people have seizures, when they have brain damage from fevers, first and foremost, it usually happens up here. Like we're talking 107. Even most hospitals, if you look on their websites and all the research that I've ever read, is that you can be at 106 and you are just fine. Even your kids, 106, just fine. Now, do they look pitiful, miserable, and downright like zombified at this point? Yes, I've seen it. I mean, they're like limp and lethargic, and because the only thing that body wants to be doing is resting and healing at that point, right? So of course they're gonna have no other, they're not gonna wanna eat, they're not gonna wanna do anything, because I mean, if you're at 106, you are probably killing the bubonic plague off, you know what I'm saying, right? Or whatever it might be, okay? So, but that's where that happens, is that when it goes from a normal temperature back up to that high temperature is where you get the febrile spike. Sorry, my handwriting's terrible. Or the febrile seizures is because it shoots up. And it basically overwhelms the brain and that body because the temperature control system gets messed up. So that's where the danger comes from, is from post-medication spikes is where that is. That's where all the data is on fever being dangerous, is that it's when the fever goes up too fast. Now, let's talk about this here too. So let's say, okay, I've convinced you no more Motrin. So the next question is, should you take a cold bath? You didn't think you were going to have to think tonight, did you? So I'm going to sit back and take notes.
Well, it still lowers the temperature, the body temperature.
Yeah. It's natural, right? It's not a medication, but you're still forcing the body in a direction, right, that it shouldn't be going. Does that make sense? Okay? And I always get cautious and nervous because you have a lot of people making, like I see it a lot now, and it's increasing. Not all of it's bad, but I see a lot more people like giving kind of medical advice online, like essential oils, like, oh, if you have a fever, put some peppermint oil on because it'll draw the fever away from the hot areas. I'm like, well, you're still trying to manipulate the body, and I have nothing wrong with essential oils as long as they're used appropriately. But you see what I mean? Like even a natural thing that, for all intents and purposes, is all very, very well and good, and I use them, and lots of, that's not the only one, but or a cold bath, or say. Or even like, the other thing was like, oh, you want to heat them up, so you put a blanket on them. I mean, if anything, that'd be a safer thing to do because you might be able to get them up a little bit faster. But the point is, don't mess with the body what it's trying to do, ever, with anything, right? Just let it do its thing. It will do its thing, and it will not fail you and let you down, provided we're talking about a healthy situation. So that then brings the next question is, well, how do I know if it's a healthy response going on? Well, you know it's a healthy response going on if you are doing the right things that we're going to get into tonight, okay, and others.